going to talk about Lucas Paqueta today. I nearly didn't because it's just tricky to talk about. There's a bit of a legal minefield with this stuff, but also last time I did a video about Lucas Paqueta, a lot of people got very, very upset. But sort of off the back of that, I got so much stick, I decided to do my video that I did, last week, basically saying I've been treading on eggshells, I've not been talking about stuff, I've not been being myself, I've been holding back a bit. And I made a pledge to you guys based off, your wonderful replies and basically gave me a lot of enthusiasm to carry on. I decided I'm just going to speak my mind on stuff, but there's a lot of people who don't want this discussed. So if you don't want to discuss, or you don't want to hear anything about Lucas Paqueta, then switch off now, basically. But now is the time to discuss this because we now know when his hearing is. So there's some really clearly defined news now about it. It's on the 20th of March. I'm not sure he has to be there on the 20th of March. It will last 2 weeks. I don't think he has to be there for all of it or any of it. He can send his legal representation. It will take the FA 2 weeks to decide if he is guilty of the misconduct charges for betting offences. If he's found guilty, they'll then take another 2 to 3 weeks to decide what his punishment should be. To the most sensational, basically, at its lowest common denominator, he gets found innocent and nothing happens and the world's a happy place, right? And suffice to say, obviously we all want him to be found innocent, right? The worst case scenario is Lucas Paqueta could basically have about 5 games left for West Ham. I mean, he's injured at the moment. We could have him for 5 more games, then he could get banned. And that ban would, if it's a ban, it won't be a short one. It would be the end of his West Ham career, most likely the end of his footballing career, because what he's being accused of is so serious. So that in itself is some pretty heavy news about it. But there's something that doesn't sit very comfortably with me about all of this, and it is the way the Football Association are going to make a judgment call on whether he's guilty or innocent. Because this is a civil case. And it's very different to a legal case, right? Because a legal case, you have to prove somebody is guilty of the charges beyond reasonable doubt. Now, with a civil case, and particularly in the FA's case here, you have to prove that it's the balance of probability. That's really, really important, right? So I'm going to accuse you of stealing a chocolate bar, right? You know you've done it. You're very naughty, right? In a legal case, beyond reasonable doubt, I would have to produce a lot of evidence. Maybe there will be a witness that was there at the time. Maybe I find the chocolate bar. Maybe you got all chocolate around your mouth and stuff like that, right? A bit of peanut stuck in your tooth or something. And I can say, Your Honour, it is beyond reasonable doubt that this this person stole that chocolate bar. Beyond reasonable doubt. And you'd probably say, do you know what? Actually, to be fair, I did eat it. The balance of probability, that's very, very different. Very different. Well, I didn't see you steal the chocolate bar, but I was definitely less one chocolate bar, and you had been in the shop, and you looked a little bit less hungry when you left. So the balance of probability is you probably stole the chocolate bar. You might not have done. I might have done my stock count wrong. I'm doing a terrible example here, of course. But this is important. I don't think I would be arguing about this if we were looking at a 3-month ban. That wouldn't be an issue, right? You think, okay, balance of probability. But if you are going to start talking about somebody's whole career in a lifetime ban, shouldn't you be looking at reasonable doubt? I think you should. And the club are very, very uncomfortable about this. I had a conversation with somebody at the club yesterday. They are very unhappy with this. Because they just, for exactly the same reasons that I think as well. I don't know. The truth of the matter is, it'd be easy for me with me claret and blue specs. I don't even need claret and blue specs because me top on and me t-shirt, me claret and blue top and t-shirt, to sit here and say, Lucas Paqueta's innocent. The truth of the matter is, I don't know. When I did my last video, Somebody said to me, why don't you come up with some proof that he's guilty? Well, I'm just a bloke sat in my shed. There's a government hearing in Brazil. I carry no burden of proof at all. I don't have any evidence. So it's not my gig. It's not what I do. But I could very much fight back and say, well, you show me proof that he's innocent. And there is the problem. I'm not sure there's either. And that might be enough to get him. Well, he's not sent down, is he? But you've also got to factor in, and you do it, if you're going to try and be reasonable about it, factor in what's going on in Brazil. Okay, so we got a Spanish hearing, right, at the moment going on, well, as happened. So the player's been found guilty of collecting the yellow cards. Uncle Bruno, Paqueta's Uncle Bruno, has been found guilty of paying the player. The Spanish FA, of whatever evidence was supplied there, have been given to the English FA. The Brazilian government hearing, which is going on now, which it looks like they will pass sentence, and Paqueta's, some of Paqueta's family have been implicated in it. His Uncle Bruno looks like he will be going to prison. They are supplying evidence to the FA. I think there is no doubt that some members, or at least one member of Paqueta's family, is involved in a betting ring or some sort of illegal betting activity. The star witness, last week before last, said that Paqueta and his brother in some way were involved. I think Paqueta got a yellow card against Aston Villa as a birthday present to his brother. That was the evidence given at the trial. Now, of course, if you say, well, can you prove that beyond reasonable doubt? Well, that's going to be interesting. We're going to need to see some bank statements, right? We're going to need to see some form of correspondence between the brother, the Paqueta, his uncle. The balance of probability, well, that's slightly different, right? That's going to be slightly different to prove. Balance of probability is probably a little bit easier because you could probably say, well, actually, his uncle has already been found guilty of it. We know they've had correspondence, because correspondence between Paqueta and his brother. Betway, the club sponsor, have got the betting patterns, and they alerted the FA to it. They were the ones that alerted the FA and said, look, we've got suspicious betting that's happening around Paqueta's yellow cards. That suspicious betting matches the sort of thing that was happening in the Spanish stuff. That's not, but they haven't got no beyond reasonable doubt the balance of probability. Now, it's not for me to say yes or no. You just got to wonder yourself whether the FA offer that are going to think yes or no. Then they asked for Paqueta's phone. They took Paqueta's phone. Paqueta's been called in for questioning. They gave him his phone back. They then asked him for his phone again. He asked, basically, he said, I haven't got it. I lost it. I don't know why he said that. I just said I got rid of it. So what old magpie thing where you send your phone off in a jiffy bag and get a couple of £100 back. He should have done that. So, I'm sorry, it's got I can't remember what it's called, whatever it is. He didn't do that. He said, I lost it. Don't know where it is. So they're going to be, hold on a second. So, because they wanted to then obviously check correspondence between him and his uncle and his brother and all that stuff. Oh, it's gone. Right, okay. So they got all this other evidence that maybe this doesn't directly show money in his bank account. But they haven't got to. It's just a balance of probability. And I think it's a bit stinky, actually, when you're going to look at someone's career. You're not meant to do it. If he's broken the rules, he's broken the rules. But there's got to be evidence, hasn't there? You would certainly think so. And I know it's easy. You've got your claret and blue spectacles on and all the rest of it. Yeah, okay, you would naturally have a protectiveness. You would naturally have an inclination not to want to believe this. I get it. And the truth of the matter is I don't know. How could I? But it doesn't sound good. I know that. If I listen to what he's been accused of, the evidence that they've got, what's been said about his family members, and then factor in that actually the threshold that the FA needs is actually quite low, you can start to think that this might happen. I think it's bad news. Reluctant to call it a stitch-up, because for me to say that, you'd need to know definitively whether he was guilty or innocent, and none of us do. But it doesn't seem fair. I think I can say that. This does not seem fair. Paqueta is countercharging the FA because he feels that they've leaked information, like that phone stuff that I said. It would appear that the FA may have leaked that information out there. Ordinarily, in a criminal court, it could be claimed that they have prejudiced the trial. It might be thrown out. I don't know. I've read a couple of John Grisham books. I've read The Street Lawyer. Bloody good book, by the way. Best start to a book. There's not many better starts to a book than The Street Lawyer, by the way. But anyway, I'm not a legal man, as you've told. But if you prejudice the trial, but it's not a criminal case. It's the FA's own gig, and they can do what the hell they want. I guess Paqueta can bring another civil case against them, but he's not going to be able to undermine their investigation to such an extent they say, oh, right, because you got us leaking news to a newspaper reporter, we're not going to charge you. That's not going to be the case. I think they're going to throw the book at him, unless he's got something in reserve that we have not yet heard. But I think we would have heard it. And here's the worst thing. If there is some super defence and some get out of jail free card, for want of a better, I'm using that just in a monopoly term, obviously. I think we would have heard it at the Spanish hearing. I think we would have heard it at the Brazilian hearing. Yeah. The truth of the matter is, I don't think it looks good. I do not think it looks good at all. And I think it's been going on for so long, I think we'd probably be shocked when it happens. Keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best. But I'll tell you what, as with any of these things, and particularly as far as Graham Potter's concerned, as far as the squad are concerned, as far as the team are concerned, in terms of the squad for next season, you've got to hope for the best, but you absolutely have to prepare for the worst.